Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan, is like most college campuses. It has people from a variety of backgrounds. The diversity of this campus is seen in many ways, from outward differences such as skin color to less visible differences such as learning disabilities or sexual orientations. Is there one definition for diversity? What are university administrators doing to encourage inclusion? What should they be doing? What's working and what's not working? How do people from different backgrounds, living and working on the same campus and the same community, feel about diversity and inclusion? We explore these questions in the following collection of stories, which have resonance beyond this campus of over 24,000 students in Southwest Michigan. In so many ways, the challenges and successes of Western Michigan University are present on campuses throughout America. I'm Pasha Ship, your host through this sequence of 5 short documentaries about diversity on a college campus. As an African American student, I have genuinely appreciated the diversity at Western Michigan University. The campus is a colorful and cultural place with a variety of languages, traditional clothing, and stories from around the world. The following videos were made in response to the Campus Climate Survey conducted in 2013. University leaders commissioned the study to take an in-depth look at diversity and inclusion issues on campus and identify those areas where improvement is needed. The findings showed that the majority of respondents said diversity and inclusion are respected and appreciated at WMU. However, the study uncovered areas of concern. Some employees and students said they were reluctant to report inequitable treatment when it happens. The study found that this campus complies with non-discrimination guidelines. But is it truly multicultural? The findings suggest not yet. But before we start, I want you all to take a moment to think about what diversity means to you. It's a word commonly used, but what does diversity mean? The dictionary definition of diversity is the state of having people who are different races or who have different cultures in a group or organization. But our first video shows that there are many, many other ways of defining diversity, depending on each person's own experience.
Variety.
Transformation.
Uniqueness.
Acceptance.
Incomplete.
In the fall of 2013, Western Michigan University conducted a campus climate survey of approximately 5,600 participants. According to the survey, nearly 92% of participants viewed overall that diversity and inclusion on campus is appreciated and honored. The Louis A. Walker Institute of Race and Ethnicity's definition of diversity includes terms such as race, ethnicity, national or regional origins, sex, gender identity, and sexual orientation. Some students define diversity in a different way. It's not just a variety of people, it's something more.
Diversity to me means embracing the different people that live in the world and accepting them for who they are and what they are.
Diversity to me simply means variety and difference in a group.
Diversity means to me the expression of uniqueness and its importance in the world. I think it's really important that we recognize as many cultures around the world how important it is to be unique. That's what drives everything we do, and sometimes it's taken for granted, but with the way the world keeps going, I think it's going to be more accepting.
Our professors, such as Dr. Susan Freeman, break down diversity even more.
For a lot of students who come from Michigan, this is a more diverse environment than they've encountered in their hometowns, in the suburbs and cities that they live in. And I think for faculty, for sure, a lot of the faculty on campus come from many other places. So a lot of us come from places that are more cosmopolitan or more racially diverse or more integrated. I would say, actually, I think the visibility of the LGBT students on campus and LGBT community on campus is something that also strikes many students as novel and different from what they're used to in their hometown.
Cheryl Rowland, Executive Director of University Public Relations, and Timothy Reddy, Director of the Lewis A. Walker Institute of Race and Ethnicity, define diversity as,
lots of people from small towns, a few people from big towns. It can mean people from all over the world. It's people who think differently on topics than I do, politically differently, people who have different learning styles. There's just an enormous number of qualities that can factor into diversity.
Diversity is a fact, and I think that when a lot of people use the term diversity, they mean creating a welcoming environment for people from diverse backgrounds. And to me, that is a very important goal, but it's not diversity itself. It's really building a community that is respectful of diversity.
With everyone's input in mind, Western is hoping to add more campus events to make the university more diverse.
We're very confident that we're doing a very good job in promoting diversity and multiculturalism on campus. But we're a big institution, and if you take our student body and our faculty and staff, folks all together, we're talking about some 30,000 people. So in an environment with that many people, there's always some pockets of some problematic areas. There's some people who don't feel included. There's people who don't feel respected. You don't see that when you just take one of those broad swaths and you say, how do you feel about diversity at WMU? And most people say great.
But even with the university hoping to add more events, it's not enough exposure. It's always the same students attending the event. Students want to get the word out.
I think that students, as best I can tell from everything from the surveys and from students I know, I think students want to be respected. They want to learn, and I think that there's an awful lot of learning from each other that can and should go on, and I think that there's probably more we can do as a university to promote how we can learn.
I think that with our international program, they're doing a really good job at bringing people from different places. If anything, I would just say that they should hold more events in which the people from different places or ethnicities or religions or whatever it might be can come together and share ideas.
Try to de-escalate any accidental segregation that happens. A lot of times people, like in international students, when they get here, they kind of stick with their own group and they're maybe a little afraid to branch out because they don't think that they can. I think it's really important that maybe we try to at least let them know that they can branch out and that there will be people who accept them for who they are and things like that.
See what I mean? People define diversity so differently. And that piece captured just a handful of the thousands of respondents to the survey. But according to some respondents, differences in equity, especially between genders, was problematic. Based on a study conducted by the Institute for Women's Policy Research, women make 77 cents for every dollar a man makes. Our next video will explore this issue by talking to campus community members.
Dear President Dunn, I am writing as an individual faculty member to express my surprise and worry over the contentious way the gender equity pay process has unfolded, Dr. Lynn Heasley writes in an open letter from the Department of History. Last year, 493 faculty members participated in a campus-wide climate study at Western Michigan University. Among the results, information was released that faculty members in general feel unequal at the university. According to WMU transparency reports, on average, male faculty members earn a higher salary than females. Some male faculty members earn as much as 11% higher than their female counterparts. Gender unequal pay has significantly affected many faculty members at WMU, so much so that male and female faculty alike have been urging the university to change their pay policy. Associate professor in the Women and Gender Studies Department, member of the Women's Caucus in the College of Arts and Sciences, member of the AAUP, and political scientist Professor Ashlyn Kirsten has made gender discrimination part of her life's work due to how gender inequality has affected her.
On a personal basis, the pay inequity that I've suffered has cost me about $150,000 over the course of my career. That would count contributions to my retirement and actual money in my pocket. When you realize that you're getting paid less than a man that you work with, particularly on a university campus where we have the exact same level of education, you question your abilities and wonder if there's something that you are doing wrong. Maybe you're not working hard enough. Maybe you're not producing as much quality work. What has happened here on campus at Western is tragic.
Provost Tim Green is responsible for allocating faculty salary throughout the university. According to Kirsten, although faculty have shown disapproval with his decisions, not much has changed.
Last October, I organized a rally for women's pay equity at Western. Essentially what happened to lead up to that, over the summer, I was hearing whispers about there being a pay equity issue at Western regarding gender, and all 10 or so of us were just really upset that this was happening to people that we knew and people that we cared about, the people who were teaching us. And so we decided that we would plan a protest. I think we had about 60 folks at the rally, and I had about 116 signatures on the petition. Most students were appalled. In the petition, there was a spot where people could say why they were supporting the petition, and a lot of student reactions were just like, it's 2013, why are we having to deal with this? This isn't something that I want to deal with when I graduate. It's not something that I want my professors to have to deal with now.
Another student, Sarah Zarnecki, is president of the RSO Girlfriend to Girlfriend, which promotes awareness about domestic violence and how to have healthy relationships. Zarnecki supports all forms of equity and strives for a more equal campus.
I think equity at WMU is getting better. If you think of it as a bridge, the other side meaning, yeah, we're there, everyone's treated so fairly. I think we're in the middle. I think in comparison to a lot of campuses that I've been on, we are really making big positive strides to making sure that everyone feels comfortable here, no matter men, women, gay, straight, anyone.
Zarnecki shares her opinion on gender equal pay.
The pay difference in general, not even on Western's campus, is something that when you hear about it as a woman, and a woman who wants to be powerful and wants to be known in the community, it's scary knowing that I'm going to graduate and I might be just as qualified as any man, that I will automatically make a lesser rate. It bothers me and it worries me. If I have kids, if I have a daughter, is this still going to be a problem years from now? Even though we might have a cure for cancer, a cure for AIDS, or all this stuff that's a little pill that I don't even know what it would do. But it would bother me if this was still an issue in the future.
Zarnecki fears for the future. And for Dr. Kirsten, gender pay inequity have forced her to make tough decisions about hers.
Do you have any children? No, I do not have any children. I started my job at Western when I was 30, and then, as well as now, we do not have a paid family leave policy. And I just couldn't see giving birth and coming back to teach 2 days later. I really admire my colleagues who managed to do that, but I couldn't do that. I wish that I could have made a decision about children that was not based on economics, but I did not have that luxury. I hope in the future that my female colleagues don't have to make that decision like I did.
These women, as well as many other faculty and students at WMU, are dedicated to being heard.
So it's been 50 years since women were supposed to start getting paid equally, and still here we are in 2013, and women aren't getting paid equally at a university that is supposed to be ahead of its peer institutions when it comes to equality and diversity.
I think WMU, the smartest thing that they can do is be ahead of the curve. What they really should do is they should start taking a look at how they can change it, how they can make equality, especially gender equality within the pay system. They need to make steps to make sure that they are doing what they're doing to look good.
Universities are on the forefront. Western has an obligation to demonstrate to our students the importance of gender equality with regard to pay equity.
The history department at WMU, as well as the AAUP, have written letters to the university showing disapproval for the way pay equity has been handled and demand change. Executive Director of University Relations, Cheryl Rowland, speaks on behalf of the university.
Those faculty members' letter was read. Just nobody was responded to because there wasn't an individual who was the point person to be the recipient of any kind of feedback or response on that. So, and I'm not sure that there was really a call for a specific action to be taken. I believe they were voicing their disapproval for the whole process, and they were basically saying, we want to say that we're upset about this.
In later follow-up, Rowland explained that there are multiple reasons for different pay, including rank and service time. She also mentioned that Provost Green recently adjusted faculty pay to improve equity. The adjustments totaled $500,000, with 85 women getting as much as $14,000 in raises, and 26 men receiving up to $8,000. Faculty members continue to strive for equal pay throughout the entire university. Professor Kirsten discusses the next steps that they have in order to make this a reality.
So this summer, 10 female faculty members filed complaints with the Michigan Department of Civil Rights to involve the state of Michigan in this issue.
Dr. Kirsten is highly confident that she will have success in winning her case.
So by the end of next month, by graduation, the state of Michigan will conclude that our complaints are warranted. I suspect by Christmas, the federal government will conclude that our issues are warranted. And then we hope that the university will settle with us and we don't have to litigate.
According to the Campus Climate Survey, the results were overall positive. While people feel happy and comfortable on campus, gender pay inequity still remains to be a large issue.
As we just learned, female faculty members and students were one of the groups who rated the campus climate lower in terms of overall diversity here at Western Michigan. Another demographic group that rated the campus climate lower in terms of diversity and equity were persons with disabilities. Both of these issues, gender pay gaps and disability rights, are poignant national issues. In the next video, we meet 3 individuals who each share their perceptions of diversity and what it's like to navigate university life.
Welcome to Western Michigan University, a campus that covers 1,200 acres in its entirety, and on main campus is mainly built on hills. The campus prides itself on diversity and has many resources for its students, staff, faculty, and administration. Yet members of the WMU community with disabilities rated the campus climate lower than those without disabilities in a recent university-wide study.
My name is Elaine Mueller. I've been at Western for a lot of years. First as a student, and I've been teaching at Western for the last 15 years plus. I had been working as a social worker and activities director, decided that they didn't want a blind person in the front office. I could have cried foul, but I decided that I would just simply change my course and I would go back to finish my college career and I would teach college.
My name is Austin Wines. I'm a freshman, creative writing major, and a pre-com. I think I was 15 when I was diagnosed. I had been dealing with a lot of stuff, and then I went to a physical at like my pediatrician, and I was talking to them about it, and you have to fill out the checklist of, do you feel sad on this many days of the week, things like that. And then he kind of talked to me about it, and I was like, well, yeah, that kind of fits. And then I didn't get officially diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder until a few years later. I always just thought I was a sensitive person or something, but no, so.
My name is Johnson Simon. My major is BFA in painting, and I'm going on my third year at Western Michigan.
Johnson, who was born with cerebral palsy, came to Western his freshman year from Miami, Florida. Johnson came to Kalamazoo along with his brother Johnny, who plays for the Bronco football team.
To me, in the back of my head, I'm just like everyone else. And then when people say, oh, I'm different, it was hard to accept that. I was angry at God. I even got to a point of committing suicide because it was so hard.
1 in 4 young people between 18 and 24 have a mental illness, and that's just a diagnosable mental illness. There could be hundreds of other people on this campus who are dealing with these things and don't know the symptoms and don't know the signs, don't know that it's treatable, don't know that it could get better, don't know that it's temporary, and that's holding them back.
Out of the over 25,000 students at Western Michigan University, approximately 800 have a registered disability. Out of the WMU population with disabilities, 216 participated in a recent campus climate survey on diversity. The results showed that of those who identified as disabled, 43% also said they were discriminated against. Of those who did not identify as disabled, 26.8% said they felt discriminated against.
Well, let me just say that you get used to being treated like a second-class citizen. Regarding the survey of the campus climate, the fact that those with disabilities rated the college climate lower, I can easily believe that.
You know, that one puzzles me because we really do have an incredibly comprehensive series of resources for students and faculty and staff with disabilities.
According to Jane Fraley-Brigette, Director of Disability Services for Students, there are a number of services available to students with disabilities.
The school has a lot of resources that I can choose to take or not, and I haven't. Cindy Hughes has counseling and things like that. I think the resources are there, and it's just my job to utilize them or not.
I don't take advantage of any services. I never have. I've done it all on my own. I haven't. If I can't do it on my own, then I don't think I should be teaching. And I don't like help.
It's a great service and do a great job helping the student out.
In a lot of ways, the campus climate hasn't changed very much since I've been a student here. There seems to be the same problems, especially this winter has been really horrible. Western has never kept up the sidewalks very well. They always keep them nice and slippery, bogged down with snow and ice, and it is so difficult to get around. Thank goodness for my dog guide. The people that I will say who have been the most helpful and supportive are the students for the most part. I love Western students, and I only get the best Western students in my class. So I have to say that the students at Western are absolutely wonderful.
Fraley-Brigette said one way the university can enhance the perception of the campus among students with disabilities is by educating and training the Western community about disabilities.
I think it just needs to be more of an open discussion, more of an open topic where people aren't ashamed and they can freely talk about self-harm and depression and suicide and feelings. It's weird to think because everybody has feelings, but a lot of times it's a really taboo topic to talk about how you feel nobody wants to hear how you feel. I don't know, maybe I'm just mushy, but.
My idea is that I would like to get some of maybe the trustees, maybe President Dunn. I would supply the blindfolds and canes on one of those bitter winter days and say, okay, go to it, find your way around. I would like to see more unity among the students, among campus organizations, especially those dealing in areas of diversity. Maybe there could be a coming together, a meeting of the minds, then more would be accomplished.
Another aspect of diversity that we examined deals with the long-running tensions between town and gown, between local residents and college students. Western's study found that some students felt unsafe in certain neighborhoods. Our next video takes a look at some of the factors related to these perceptions of safety among students. Our reporting team explored the socioeconomic and geographical diversity that college students encounter when they go beyond campus borders.
Do I feel unsafe? No, yes. I don't. I personally don't feel unsafe. I feel fine.
During the 2012-2013 academic year, Western Michigan University conducted a survey measuring the status of diversity on campus and throughout the community. The Campus Climate Survey received more than 5,600 responses from randomly selected students, staff, faculty, and administrators covering a variety of diversity-related topics. One portion of the survey that dealt with interaction between WMU students and the surrounding community revealed concern about safety in certain parts of town.
Especially like where poverty is, I feel like that's where like lots of like violence can come up.
Rundown houses, crazy people.
I still feel unsafe sometimes at night, you know, when you're walking and you see somebody homeless. I mean, that's probably like natural instinct.
When I came, I thought that downtown was not a safe area and I stayed away from it. And I wish that every student knew that that is completely false.
It really comes down to a question of familiarity, almost like your hometown. I mean, if you go home to your hometown, you feel comfortable going anywhere.
I guess I've seen both worlds. Growing up in Detroit, and we know Detroit has a high crime problem.
Sometimes, depending on where you are from, you bring those perceptions with you.
It's that one thing that you hear that, you know, transcribes it into your brain and you're like, okay, that's a bad neighborhood. Not always.
With more than 4,700 citizens occupying 1 square mile to the west of downtown Kalamazoo, the Vine neighborhood is an area where cultures collide. Steve Walsh, the Vine Neighborhood Executive Director, says that living in the Vine neighborhood is an exercise in reality and basic precautions need to be taken.
This is a neighborhood where worlds collide at times. So, you know, I don't ever want to scare anybody, but I also want to be realistic and say, keep your guard up. You know, that's the reality of wherever you live. Keep your guard up, keep your head up.
Students, from what I understand from our Department of Public Safety, tend not to be quite as careful about things like that. You know, it's more willing to open their doors when somebody knocks on the door, or they might go off and leave their doors unlocked, their windows unlocked, and that's those creating opportunities for crime.
There are a lot of parties that happen here, and a lot of parties with a lot of open doors.
I often tell residents, you have to lock your doors. This isn't just good time college town anymore. There's always going to be people that take advantage of that situation. And I talk to students, I say, look, you can be the man and have the party with 400 people, but what you need to understand, of those 400 people, there's going to be 10 of them that don't care about you at all. And those are the ones that are propping your windows open, propping your doors open, going into your room and stealing things. You don't want to be fear-mongering. We already get enough fear pumped at us that we need to be afraid of the people that are different from us. This is different. This is just what you would do. This is just what you should do living in the city.
With community leaders urging citizens to exercise caution in Kalamazoo neighborhoods, students identified the public transit system that runs through Kalamazoo as unsafe. Located in downtown Kalamazoo next to the Gospel Mission, the Kalamazoo Public Transit System is a resource that both students and residents share daily.
The bus station is interesting.
You see some crazy stuff on the bus. Yeah. Like, yes. Today we were on the bus and this guy was yelling on the phone like, I take my prescription. And he was calling people everything just going on. And then he fell on top of me. Yeah, and he messed up my toe.
Probably the unsafest place is probably where the train station's at. You'll see people walking and like, you know, that are just homeless. But I feel like that's like where lots of the like stuff goes down, you know.
I've never had a problem. There's actually, I think last week or 2 weeks ago when I got off the bus stop here, down at the bus station, I should say, there was actually a big fight that was going on. That's the only incident I've ever seen or heard.
The only time I felt sketched out was the one time I got here closer at night. I think it was maybe 8 or 9 p.m. where I got back into the station. It was just like a whole bunch of guys just milling around, and I was by myself waiting for my dad to pick me up. So it's just like, you okay? You can be here any second now.
There are times where kind of vagrants, you might say, wander about.
Especially downtown, you see like, I heard it's like a shelter, so it's like drug addicts and stuff, so like they're always and then people that be riding on the bus.
While some students may blame the Kalamazoo Gospel Mission for the city's homeless population, Executive Director Mike Brown says that his organization provides help for people in need.
Well, our folk need to have, they need to have ready transportation. Also, people who are coming to us, they don't need to be hunting for us or get into town and then have to try to find their way to us. I think it was wisdom years ago that caused our founders to actually find this location. And it was also an acceptance from the community at that time to help them to get, you know, in an ideal location, such as right downtown here. Where you have a homeless community, you have people from all different walks of life. And so there's a possibility that you may have some unsavory people in that arena. The folks that have a negative perception are the ones that really aren't that close or don't have that much information about what we do. And so naturally they go by what they've heard or what they've heard in other places and things like that. You can't stop certain segments of the community from using the bus because you feel uncomfortable. They have a right to be there. I've also heard that the numbers of homelessness in Kalamazoo is so high because of the Gospel Mission. That's not true. The programs in the Gospel Mission are what they are because the numbers in Kalamazoo are so high.
Downtown Kalamazoo Incorporated is one organization that is working to improve the negative perceptions that students have about safety in the city.
Downtown Kalamazoo tries to attract students downtown through our Student Connections program, because I know I experienced this too as a freshman, just hearing stories and things from people, but never actually coming downtown, but just being afraid because there's just this belief that it was dangerous because of an incident here, an incident there that somebody heard that maybe happened 5 to 10 years ago, or that you found out wasn't even true. I would just say come downtown.
We spend a lot of time working with organizations like Discover Kalamazoo, Downtown Kalamazoo Incorporated, and we bring them into the mix as soon as we have students on campus.
I try and promote different events that are taking place and trying to make it seem more friendly and open, and that it's really not a unsafe place to come down and hang out at.
Community leaders say that education and engagement is the key to altering views about safety in Kalamazoo.
I think education is the key for people to understand and know more about what you do.
The perception, a lot of that falls back on my shoulders in terms of education and continually trying to get the word out there and tell folks, like, these are some of the things that you need to do.
It's all about how do you get the information out.
It's a continuous effort to reach out, especially to the students.
Even if I did happen to walk down West Main one day and somebody robbed me or something, just the way my perspective on life wouldn't even allow that one incident to make me have a negative view of Kalamazoo in general. It would be just that one time something happened, because the question, crime is going to happen. I mean, stuff will happen to people. I think how we perceive those things really matter a whole lot more.
Now that we have explored some of the issues related to diversity off campus, we shift our focus back to the campus community. While it's quiet now, the North Ballroom of the Bernhard Center is where the annual International Festival takes place. The festival and similar events aim to promote diversity on campus. Our next video shows other initiatives the university has in place.
A major find of the Cultural Climate Survey was that nearly 92% of people agreed Western Michigan University respects diversity and inclusion on campus. The survey asked staff, faculty, and students if they were satisfied with diversity at Western. White students expressed higher satisfaction rates with diversity compared to all other racial ethnic groups. People with disabilities, religious minorities, the LGBT community, female faculty, and female administrators were also not as satisfied. Although white students expressed higher satisfaction rates concerning diversity, research found incoming white students were from primarily white communities. Director of the Lewis Walker Institute, Dr. Timothy Reddy, explains.
White students at Western have very little experience in interracial, interethnic contexts. On the other hand, they had very little experience. And so, and I think with little experience comes little knowledge.
The survey recommends that Western should identify and enhance existing multicultural programs and/or develop new ones. But this recommendation will only attract people who are already working towards greater diversity on campus. Dr. Reddy has a theory why some people don't feel comfortable talking about diversity.
Kids, they don't want to say the wrong thing. And they don't want to offend anybody, or they're afraid of saying something stupid, and so somebody might find offensive.
There are many established groups, programs, and events that allow people to get more involved with diversity on campus. The International Festival is organized by the International Student Activities Office.
This is our biggest event. We have roughly around 4,000 people coming. Not at once, obviously, but like throughout the entire day. We're sponsored by Western, obviously. We cannot afford the whole thing. But and this year is the 25th anniversary, so it's like our biggest event that we have definitely this year.
Office Director Daniel Nueves would like to see more Americans come to multicultural events.
We don't get many Americans in here. It's pretty much like try to tell them to come here and experience it, because once that they come in here, they come back and they bring their friends.
You see the flyers, the chalk graffiti on the sidewalk, and organizations promoting events at the flagpoles. What events have you been to?
I myself haven't participated in any on-campus diversity inclusion programs. I do definitely think they are a good idea.
I participated in an Outspoken meeting once. It was pretty fun. They tried to include everyone, but I'm a shy person, so it didn't really include me, I guess.
Yeah, I have not, and I think the reason is just simply the busyness factor.
Outspoken is another student organization which promotes inclusion for all students.
And what we do for Western, we do provide that safe space and a community for LGBTQ people so they can meet each other and find support. We do have lots of events throughout the year.
Their most popular event during the fall semester is Pride Prom. This event gives LGBT people a non-judgmental prom. But Outspoken has seen a decline in participation in recent years.
But I know that my freshman and sophomore year it was up near 100, and it's not there right now, which happens and is okay. But I really liked it when it was a lot of people. I felt like I had a really big community and like we could really make a difference. We still make a difference now that we're smaller, but it's harder sometimes to get enough people, enough person power behind it.
Now that the survey has been released, the university is taking steps to make Western more diverse. Executive Director of University Relations, Cheryl Rowland, explains.
Well, the report's fairly new. It was actually only presented on campus in October. So all of those recommendations that you find at the end of the report are still somewhat being digested. I would say that that it's being followed up on at some of the highest levels at the institution. Well, the Tactical Action Committee that you reference is part of the university's overall strategic planning initiative. And I think it's important to note that In the university's 3-year strategic plan, there are 5 major goals. One of those is promoting a diverse and inclusive campus. So,
the Campus Climate, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Tactical Action Committee is overseeing this goal. The 4-member community is working to create changes to the cultural climate on campus. Program Director Tiara Marshall explains how programs help create change at the university.
This cyclical relationship between the organization that you want to create structurally and the people who inhabit that organization. And you have to do both. And so when we talk about programming is what happens, some of what happens between that. And so you need folks to be equipped for this new thing that you're doing. It helps people to, either through professional development or training or classroom work, it helps people to inhabit that new system that you're trying to create. So it's necessary, but it's a part of this much larger picture, I think.
Member Mary Zoyer Anderson explains why individual and systematic changes are important.
Sarah said, that's really true, that the individuals have to show up and do the work. And if we put systemic things in place that sustain that work, then more people can. And when people aren't, there's a system for trying to help them, right? Because it really does have to be at both levels to sustain it.
Students have the opportunity to diversify their college experience by attending the various events, programs, and organizations on campus.
I'll say what I always tell people, be the change that you want to see in the world. It really, we're kind of moving into a different way of working in the world, period, where there's more collaboration. And the reason for that is because we recognize that, one company or, one person within a company can't do the hero thing over and over again. We really have to have folks working together, coming up with really great solutions that have the opportunity to sustain because of the collaboration and the work that goes into developing them, because you're hearing from the voices of all the folks who are at the table.
Now, after we have delved into all of these topics related to diversity, it is evident that defining diversity and understanding the experiences of all members of a community is no easy task. What are some of the challenges and successes that your community is facing in terms of diversity?